Imagine being trapped in a stone coffin, the weight of the entire world pressing down on you from all sides. Not just for minutes or hours, but for days. The first thing you'd notice isn't the dark, it's the smell. The metallic tang of iron from the stone, mixed with the damp, earthy scent of centuries-old decay. Then, the cold. A deep, marrow-chilling cold that seeps through your clothes and into your bones. Your own heartbeat becomes a deafening drum in your ears, each thump echoing in the confined space. But the true horror begins when the sounds start, not from outside, but from within your own crumbling mind. This is what happened to Leo Vance, a man who voluntarily entered a medieval oubliette and sealed the entrance behind him. October 2022, for 28-year-old Mike Reynolds, an experienced solo caver from Cincinnati, the Appalachian Range was his sanctuary. The crisp autumn air smelled of pine and damp earth as he prepared his gear. He'd explored dozens of these caves before, each descent a familiar ritual of rope, light, and measured breath. But this time, the mountain would keep something of his and give something back that wasn't entirely human. He wasn't a thrill seeker, but a purist, drawn to the profound silence, the deep chill of ancient stone, and the discovery of places untouched by any light. Sarah, his girlfriend, had pleaded with him not to venture alone this time. He kissed her forehead, a soft promise to return for Sunday dinner. Then he turned toward the waiting dark, its damp, mineral scent already clinging to the air. The Whisper Crack was a notorious, slender fissure in a remote section of the mountains, a 300-foot descent into a cold, damp throat of granite. The air grew heavy with the scent of wet stone and decay. Mike descended, the scrape of his gear against the stone echoing like whispers in the void. For Mike, it was perfect. A technical challenge on a Friday afternoon, with supplies for 48 hours. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and stale coffee as he settled in. Outside, the wind whispered through unseen cracks, carrying the distant, damp smell of approaching rain. His breath hitched. The perfect conditions, he thought, for what lay ahead. Just in case. He was 280 feet down, navigating a section the maps called the Chimney, a vertical, coffin-tight squeeze. That's when the mountains sighed. A deep, grinding exhalation that carried the scent of ancient stone and ozone. The floorboards groaned as a deep, subterranean rumble shuddered through the house. Plaster dust cascaded from the ceiling like spectral snow. Then, the camera feed dissolved into a violent, shuddering blackness. A minor tremor, the official report would later call it. Geologically insignificant, but in the Whisper Crack, it was catastrophic. A slab of rock, the size of a car, sheared off with a terrible groan. It slammed into the passage below, sealing his only way forward with a final, crushing boom. The air grew heavy with powdered stone, and a deeper rumble answered from behind him. The root back had collapsed. He was entombed. He was now in a pocket, a stone lung. Later measurements would reveal his prison, 7 feet long, 2 feet wide, 3 feet high. You are currently sitting in more space than Mike Reynolds had. The air grew heavy with the scent of damp earth and cold stone. Pitch blackness enveloped him, broken only by frantic, ragged breaths and the scrape of fingernails clawing at unyielding stone. The first day was a primal descent into terror. Then, the last spark of his headlamp guttered out, leaving him with the true, suffocating darkness of the deep earth. A metallic scent of damp stone and ancient rot filled the void where light had been. His screams tore through the darkness, shredding his throat into ragged ruin. Fingernails scrabbled desperately against unyielding stone, grinding down to raw, bloody stumps. No echo answered his cries. The dense, cold air swallowed every sound whole. The mountain had consumed him, leaving only the metallic taste of panic and the crushing weight of absolute isolation. Then, the silence settled in, a tangible presence that pressed against the walls. Stripped of all sensory input, his mind began its desperate, horrifying fight for survival. The metallic tang of old fear coated his tongue as he inventoried his meager supplies. With a discipline born of pure dread, he rationed them with military precision. He licked condensation from the cold rock, the taste of damp stone coating his tongue. But the real battle wasn't in his body. It was in the silent, starving void of his own mind. Sensory deprivation psychosis took root. His brain, starved for input, began fabricating its own reality. A low, electrical hum filled his ears, and the sharp scent of ozone cut through the stagnant air. He heard voices, not echoes, but clear, distinct conversations that seemed to come from a rescue team mere inches away. He engaged in vivid, heated arguments with Sarah, her voice crisp and real in the suffocating blackness. Pulsing, geometric shapes glowed in the void. An intricate, living lattice he described as the mountain's nervous system. Time dissolved, leaving him adrift in a cold, silent expanse where only these impossible sensations remain. Time warped in that blackness. An hour stretched into a day, while a day vanished in a blink. The damp stone wall beside my head became Arthur. I'd whisper apologies to him when my body betrayed me. The ammonia scent of my own waste mixed with the iron tang of the rock, creating a perfume of pure despair. In that void, I began introducing myself to the rock. The darkness wasn't empty. It was listening. I believed, with every fiber of my being, that he could feel it. By day 6, or was it 7? Mike's physical reality had warped into a waking nightmare. A thick, coppery taste filled his mouth as dehydration began methodically shutting his organs down. The air itself felt heavy and stale, pressing in with a palpable, suffocating dread. His muscles had withered to uselessness, legs locked in a permanent crouch. He was crusted in his own filth, a thick, sour-smelling layer that seemed baked onto his skin. Yet the deeper horror was the change within his mind. Something fundamental had been hollowed out, leaving only a chilling vacancy. Mike's voice grew hollow as he described the change. The voices that once felt alien began to sound familiar. They whispered that resistance was futile. It would be easier to surrender, to become part of the mountain itself, to let the cold seep in. And for a while, it sounded so peaceful to just stop. Above, the world thought Mike was dead. After 5 days, search and rescue officially called off the operation, but Sarah refused to accept their verdict. Her determination was absolute. She mortgaged her car to fund a private team equipped with specialized seismic listening devices. They weren't searching for a survivor anymore. They were listening for a body. On the 10th day, a technician reviewing the data discovered an anomaly. It wasn't the usual geological noise. This was something else entirely. A faint, rhythmic tapping emerged from the static. The pattern was deliberate, unmistakably artificial. It was Morse code, a slow, weak tapping that spelled out, "Alive in hell." The team drilled a 6-inch pilot hole straight down 292 feet. When it broke through, a choked, inhuman sound echoed from the depths. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and ancient rock. The camera descended into the abyss, its green-tinted footage flickering with static. What emerged from the darkness wasn't Mike Reynolds, not the man who'd entered hours before. The air carried the metallic scent of damp stone and something faintly organic, like distant decay. What followed was an 18-hour rescue operation that would become legend among those who venture underground. They had to sedate him through the hole, just to get a harness on him. When they finally pulled him into the sunlight, he didn't weep. He didn't smile. He screamed at the light like a vampire, his eyes wide with a terror they hadn't seen in the dark. He was screaming at the empty void. Present day. A still photo shows a gaunt, weathered Mike Reynolds sitting on a porch, his gaze fixed on nothing. Mike Reynolds survived. Physically, he regained his weight, his strength, but some wounds never truly close. He now sleeps in a custom-made closet, not a bedroom. Open fields trigger a primal dread, freezing him with panic. He confessed to Sarah that in the deep quiet of night, he could still hear Arthur's voice, whispering that the mountain missed its tenant. But here's the detail that haunts me. The rescue team discovered something in that stone coffin. In total darkness, Mike had used his multi-tool to carve something into the granite. Not a plea for mercy, not a final goodbye. It was a perfect, intricate, fractal spiral. A geometric design he had no way of comprehending, no frame of reference for in his world. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and old paper, as if the pattern itself had drawn something ancient into the room. When the psychologist asked about the spiral carving, Mike's expression went blank with genuine confusion. He had zero memory of carving it, then whispered, "Maybe the mountain was carving itself." Through my hands, the air in the room seemed to thicken with the weight of that impossible suggestion. So what truly shared that cave with him? Was it just the fracture of a human mind? Or something far older and darker? Or, when you're sealed in total darkness for 10 days, in a space no larger than a coffin, are you conjuring the madness? Or are you clearing space for something else to enter? Something that doesn't need light to exist. Something that likes the dark. 3 seconds of perfect stillness hung in the air, thick and cloying. Then, a solitary, brittle tap, like a fingernail on glass from another room. The sound was wrong, carrying a hollow, metallic finality that didn't belong. It wasn't an echo of the house settling. It was an invitation.